In today's video, I am going to tell you the story of everything that happened to an innocent girl. Let's start the story. Me and my husband were going to the market for shopping. I was hugging my son Hamza. But as soon as I extended my hand to open the car door, I feel someone was holding my feet very tightly. Sudden I looked down on my leg and there was a half-burnt-faced man. As soon as he saw me, he said, "Where are you going?" "You are my wife." She tried to take my baby from me saying this. "That's my baby, how you gone take her like that? And how can you be of someone else?" My whole existence was trembling in fear. So my husband Ali got out of the car and pushed the man. He opened the car door and got me and my child in quickly. Ali went to his seat and at the same time he started boasting about how crazy these people are. But that beggar was continuously knocking the door. The fear in my heart was belonged to something else. I recognized this person in a second with half-burnt face. My whole existence was drenched in sweat. I couldn't even imagine that he will ever stand in front of me like this. Life is based on so many impossibilities. I had not even imagined it. I don't know in which thoughts I got lost along the way. Ali was also thinking that I was nervous about the action of that time. To tell the truth, this was also true. What I was afraid to say to myself. Well, after shopping, when we got back home, so I started looking for this face in this street again. But I did not see him anywhere. I was holding my son tight. I thank God that man walked away from there. And I went into the house with my husband. After that I did not see him again for a long time. But there was an unknown fear inside me. I had a feeling that something was going to happen. I was afraid that this person might come back again. And my child and my husband should not be taken away from me. Gradually my feelings started to return to normal. Maybe I would have succeeded in forgetting him, a glimpse of her. But one day when I went to my rooftop to teach clothes, I saw the street corner, where he was sitting on the ground. He had himself wrapped in a sheet. Only could see half of him face. I knew by half him face. Who was he? Once again the same wave of fear started running inside me. I went down to quick and hugged my son. Came to my room and locked my door. It was my heart that was beating so hard. I was covered in cold sweats. Some events from the past were running around in my mind. There's no way I could waste my life again. I remember those days when I completed my religious education. I used to teach Quran to children at home. When one day, a relationship came for me from a big house. The boy was a doctor. My parents were very pious and religious. I too had become young. They considered this relationship appropriate and accepted it for the wedding. Everything was going as usual. But now 15 days were left for the wedding, when suddenly strange things started happening in our house. One day when we opened my dowry furniture room, our eyes fell on the feet of furniture who had been licked by termites. They were about to break. Seeing them, all the colors of our faces turned pale. How did it all happen suddenly? Everything was fine until yesterday. Then Dad called quick mechanic who fixed it up and gave it a good spray. But then again one day the fresh sweets boxes in the house smelled so deadly that Allah forgive us. None of the guests even touched the sweets. One day when called some laborers to decorate the house, one of those was climbing a ladder from the ground. Suddenly the stairs fell down and he also fell down with it. Don't know how many bones of this poor man were broken. I was only daughter of my parents, and they wanted to celebrate my happiness with all their heart. But whatever was happening, there was a strange atmosphere of anxiety in this house. Well, the wedding day has come. When food was put on the tables that day, so there were many flies right now. No guest touched the food. Everyone went back to their homes saying that they earned illegally. That's why God's wrath is coming down. These words of people were piercing my heart. How selfish are the people of the world, they say whatever comes in their heart. Well, the pain of leaving my parents' home and the worry of their problems in every relationship had made my heart sad. After farewell I came to my in-laws' house. But as soon as I stepped inside the house, the atmosphere here was also strange. There was a strange smell everywhere. But I was surprised that no guest missed the toss. It is not like I have a mental illness. But at that time I was a newly married bride. So I ignored these things and walked into the house. My husband, his mother and sisters welcomed me in a very warm manner. It was my first wedding night. Me and Amir, we both were very happy. But on the wedding night, Amir said something, like that surprised me. He said to me, the newly married bride, my mother and sister are praying for our safety. That's why you have to take full responsibility of this house for a few days now. I thought this was strange. Because till a month of marriage, you get full pampering. But my husband was telling me to get to work on the first day. Well, I listened to them. But the smell was making my head hurt so bad that I started vomiting. Nobody else in the house felt the stink. Amir was a doctor by profession. They immediately put me on a medication, and all night sat on my pillow rubbing my head. I was feeling much better the next morning. So I was stuck at work. My mother-in-law and sister-in-law were locked in their room all day. No one was allowed in that room. Ali had told me, so that if someone interferes in their prayers, so he could have suffered a heavy loss. I was also a religious girl, used to understand these things. So I kept quiet. But don't know why. I used to be so confused living here. I'd be tired after working all day, But my husband did care. That was the reason that his love was growing in my heart. He used to talk to me sweetly for hours and it was his routine. I was tired of this stinking environment, so I washed the whole house floor, and dare the smell go down even a bit. One day I went to the market to buy a bargain. So suddenly, an old woman came in front of me. His appearance was no less than a madman. As soon as she saw me, she asked, "Are you Amir's wife?" My eyes were shocked at her question. I shook my head, in a state of uncertainty. So she said, "Run away from here and never come back, otherwise you will waste your life." His red eyes scared. His accent was so harsh that anyone can feel it. I came back. From there on backward steps. After coming home, strange and whispers began to arise in the heart. On top of that, this thing had made me mad. I had no idea what was about to happen. The only good thing about all of this is that my husband loved me unconditionally. I'm gonna ignore this crazy lady and got back to my routine. When I start feeling heavy, I used to recite Quran, which makes me miss the feeling of this smell. My parents passed away in an accident these days. Now I was completely alone in this world. Amir supported me a lot. I was returning to my normal life. Then one day, I saw that crazy woman in the street of my house. Even there, she pointed at me from far away to run away. I got scared to watch this again. I closed the door of the house. But now I wanted to know the truth. My mother-in-law and Nand were always imprisoned in the room. The husband was out all day due to work, so I had no house arrest. One day I went to a store to get some things. So I saw that woman again. See girl, try as hard as you can. You will not be spared from this smell. If you want to save your life, so get out of here right now. I was not afraid of what he said today. I asked him, "Why do you say that?" Only then did she look at me with wet eyes and said, "Just don't rely too much on it. Get out of here. Whenever you will need me, my house is on the first street, behind the colony. You got to be there." But how could it? I did not know the truth. I held her hand and told her to walk with me. Taken to a park on the way. I asked her as soon as I got there. "Now you tell me why you say so." First, she kept talking about me. Then spoke, after being very stubborn. "Daughter, these people are very cruel. They are doing very bad black magic to get rich. That's why the stink is everywhere. They have to sacrifice 3 pregnant women to complete it. Your husband has already killed 2 women. One of these 2 girls was also my daughter. And now it's your turn." She said, "My girl, just get out of here. Don't ever come back again. Otherwise, these people will also kill you." The woman started crying after saying this. Perhaps his sorrow was really big. Or was someone crazy? I was not able to understand. Leaving her crying there, I got up and left there. As soon as I got home I started feeling sick. I started getting dizzy. I knew why this was happening. I was going to be a mom. But I couldn't tell anyone, right now. My husband was a doctor. As soon as he saw me, that I was going to be a mommy, he made a lot of noise and told the whole family. My mother-in-law and sister-in-law were going crazy with happiness. As if they don't know what treasure has come into their hands. A wave of fear was spreading inside me. When everyone slept at night. So I got up and went out to the kitchen to get water. Suddenly, the intensity of this stench started to increase. I started to chase that stink where it was coming from. Only then did I see the open window of my mother-in-law's room. Then I got a chance to get the truth. When I looked inside the window, the scene inside shook my heart. My mother-in-law and sister-in-law were sitting with open hair, in a black space. She put a lot of scars on her throat, and lit a fire stove in front of her, placed an idol on it, and was reading some. Even a common man seeing that scene would have shivered in fear. I also had the same situation. I found all the words of this mother to be true. Before this, I would have faced a big problem. I thought it was appropriate to get out of there, and quickly opened the gate of the house and came out of there. No one heard of me leaving. But now it was a big mystery for me. Where should I go at this time of night? There was a state of anxiety inside me. How can these people be so cruel? I was going to go on and on. My condition was also a little bad. Then suddenly, I remembered the address of that woman. I started walking in this dark night, wiping my tears. It was dark all around. But at least, now I'm away from that deadly smell. The lava of sorrows was spilling inside me. After walking for some time, finally reached her desired place. The door started banging loudly. I had a few minutes to spare. That same old mother opened the door. Surprisingly, he didn't ask me any questions. She caught me and brought me inside. I was in tears. My mind was shut off. She laid me on the bed and sat beside. She started reciting the Quran. My condition was slowly getting better. I started feeling better about myself. I told him the whole thing. That's when she said, "Don't worry. Now, I will not let anything happen to you. You will just stay with me." Then the very next day, we found out about God's power. My ex-husband's house caught fire, and they all burned to ashes. God had got me out of a big mess. Now I was living with the same mother. Her house wasn't too small nor a big middle-room building, in which she lived alone but kept her house clean. I also took care of the cleanliness of her house. Suddenly I felt so bad that I lost my child. I cried a lot that day, but this mother held me up and got me out of this pain too. That mother's son had gone to another city to study. After some days he came home. He was such a handsome young man. There was a strange attraction in his eyes. As soon as she came, she asked her mother about me. She said about me, "She is my niece in relation. She was alone, that's why she came to live here." Then mother married me with her son as soon as I finished my idat. She didn't tell Ali anything about my past. We had started a new life. After this, Allah has blessed me with a son from the moon, whose name is Hamza. When I was attacked for the third time, that person came in front of me. Maybe he survived the crash. The fear of Allah had increased in my heart at that time, because I made a big mistake unknowingly. I had married on marriage. I had to pay atonement for it at any cost. I didn't know what to do. Now it has become his routine. He used to sit on the corner of the same street. I could not tell my mother-in-law anything about this, because with great difficulty, she came back to life. I did not want to bother her again. So one day when my husband was out of work, my mother-in-law was sleeping. I covered my face and went to my ex-husband Amir, the one who was just sitting there. I said to him, "Now why are you here and what do you want?" Then he looked at me, immediately folded his hands in front of me, and said, "Forgive me. You don't know how much punishment I got for my mistake. My sister and mom died the same night. In this half-face condition, I am roaming around like a lesson. Everyone gets scared to see my face. I don't understand where should I go. So please forgive me. Just answer me one question, whose the child is that? What you had carried in your lap?" I wanted to get rid of him. I said, "This is not your child, it is Ali's. Your baby died before it was born these days. If it comes to forgiveness, then my Allah has taken revenge from you. What more miles should I put in my heart for you now? I have also forgiven you." As soon as he listened to me, he started asking for forgiveness from Allah. He said, "O Allah, make my death easy for me. My last hope of living is gone. My baby is no more with me. My wife has already belonged to someone else. I am a very big sinner." Then suddenly he stand up, and said to me the words of divorce, and started running out of there fast. There was a strange kind of satisfaction on his face. I was feeling sorry for his condition. Just then suddenly a car passed fast enough to get inside him. He fell up on the other side of the road. I found him to my eyes very close. I backed home at this very moment. God shows us so many colors. Love the justice done by the God. I came to know that today. But one mystery is yet to be solved. My marriage was not allowed. Even if it was unknowingly, my marriage was unlawful. And now that I know, how do I tell my husband? Should I tell my husband about this, or should I keep quiet? I will be waiting for your reply.